I can't write this about my mother.
Cancel
Culture
podcast.
Welcome back to Cancel Culture, woo, 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 the podcast writers' room where a diverse group of Gen Z female comedy writers create a funny, unoffensive joke about a topic that most might consider a no-fly zone in comedy that even an old, white, cis man, aka my dad, can tell without getting canceled. Today's topics: jokes about sluts and prudes. Woo! That's right. We're going to write a joke about sluts and prudes that a white dude can tell without sounding like an asshole. Why?
To show that it is possible.
It's possible. It's possible.
Amazing. Shall we introduce ourselves?
No.
I don't want to start today. I can't. I'm not brave enough.
I'll start.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Sarah.
I'm Sarah. My first slutty memory experience was when I was really, really young. I was 5 years old having a play date with like a boy in my class, and this is like a cool memory of mine. And all I remember is like my sister opening coming into the room, seeing a boy there by himself, and then being like, where's Sarah? And then him being like, I don't know, and then her opening it up and me being in there fully naked. It began young for me.
Yeah. You know what?
Wait, like you were in the closet naked?
Yeah. Like I was in like kind of like
when did you come out of the closet?
Never actually.
Oh. Okay.
Well, hi, my name is Elayna. My most recent sexcapade, I watched that Netflix show of How to Build a Sex Room, and I realized I'm so sheltered. Have I ever even had sex before? My sex life has been so lame. So I need this cute little British grandma to come over and help me out.
I hope your ex isn't listening to this.
Well, he's pretty vanilla. He knows.
What type of stuff did they have in the rooms?
They had lots of sex swings.
Which I've never understood.
Yeah, me neither. There's like, apparently you can like click that, like unclip them.
Do you think it's something to do with the force of when you swing forward, it like makes it hit? Do you know, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Think about the centrifugal force. Not that I've ever sat in one or understand how they work. They look like a lot of work to me. But think about
so much therapy.
That looks cool.
So much therapy.
You made this decision. First of all, Sarah, what do you think you were going for at 5 years old in the closet naked? What was the outcome that you were sitting there?
Probably rubbing. I feel like we were rubbing. Don't you think that 5-year-olds just rub?
I don't know.
I think
it's shut the fuck up. Should I just not talk about that?
I think it's a curiosity thing when
like
you're little.
Like every science, like doctory sort of exploration of sorts.
Yes.
You know?
Also, it's so forbidden. It's totally normal that you want to age appropriate. It's what we say.
I think that
you want to discover naked people, but like it's so taboo. Your grown-ups like you can't be naked, so it makes sense.
It's slut shame from a very young age.
You should.
When does it happen that being naked becomes taboo, do you think?
When you're a child.
I would say after 2, like once you start going to like daycare or preschool, like it becomes like that's for at home, that's private. Like,
but then there are always like Europeans
we keep our clothes
at hotels who like let their kids run around naked. Do you see that? Like I feel like that's such like a Russian like European vibe.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm at a
hotel. I think like the idea that like, okay, those are your private parts now, like don't but I also according to Paul, it's not till 14. So Paul had a very sexually free adolescence, and then when he hit 14 it all went to everything became shut that shit down.
That is too funny.
I forgot I still had to introduce myself. I'm Jamie. And so the first time that I ever had sex with a boy was in my home that I grew up in while my parents were home.
Where I am sitting.
Where he's sitting, not in that room. But they were asleep. They were in our home. The only reason they did let this individual sleep over was because I found out the next day my dad thought he was gay.
I mean, maybe he was.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And and he had missed his train. He slept over. It happened under the roof. of this individual here.
Is this a confession right now? Like your dad doesn't know this?
This is
I
a
did not know
confession.
that,
He did
yeah.
not know this. Yeah.
I guess better at
news
home.
breaking right here.
It's like when parents let their kids smoke weed because it's
Better
like
at
how
home?
better, safer at home, you know, where you're comfortable.
Yes.
This is like that. I think it's for the best.
I don't know what
yeah.
the game plan was if my parents like walked into my room. Or
How old were you?
17.
That's
18,
a
17.
perfect age.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reasonable age.
But also at 17,
Reasonable.
you don't really think through the logistics. You know, you're not really worried about it.
Eh,
What about you, Evan?
Yeah.
What about
Wait,
me?
no. And lastly, but leastly,
No, stop.
and lastly, but leastly, I hope I know nothing about this person's prude or slut tendencies. My father, Evan.
I've been married to the person from whose belly Jamie was ripped because she wouldn't come out otherwise for 30 years this fall.
Wow.
So yeah,
Mazel tov.
that's my
Wow.
sexual history right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
How
I'm
beautiful.
I'm scared of sex and getting pregnant because my mother is so fertile that she got pregnant on an IUD. So
I'm
Whoa.
not sure that's
that's what she told me. That's what she said.
Oh my god.
Maybe she was
Yeah,
just
so
trying to
this is
scare
too
me.
much information, but yeah, every time we've had unprotected sex, she's gotten pregnant.
That's how my mom is too. Also why I'm like very
Whoa.
cautious most of the time. Fertile myrtles is what my
I'm
family says.
hyperfertile.
Fertile
I have,
myrtles.
I have the same gynecologist in England as Kate Middleton. That's a fun fact.
Look at the stance you just took when you said that.
Yeah, she said
And
Royalty.
she told me that I'm susceptible to twins, that like I'm constantly releasing like 2 eggs per month, and that there's gonna be like 2 mini-me's one day.
Have you ever been
basically.
pregnant?
Never,
Hmm.
but I'm very careful.
Me either. I've never been pregnant.
Oh, good to know.
Shall we move into the episode further?
Now that we're
Just-
all
okay, so
blushing
wait,
hardcore.
I know
wait,
all of us
just-
are like,
Just so Sarah doesn't feel bad. So that I was equally irresponsible. I was by far the youngest of the people on this. 14.
how old were you?
A lot. Most of my friends were 14, actually. I was
Unsafe.
like one of the last.
Oh.
And it was terrible.
Ugh.
So you know,
14 is so little.
yeah, it
14
is. It is. I was a
pretty
child.
small. But I
It's
feel like back in the
disgusting,
day.
That's like a
Yeah.
year older than you were in that photo.
actually.
Yeah.
That's
true.
so scary.
That's actually
Remember being
It
14?
is not
Like-
terribly far after.
Show
that
the photo,
time.
Paul.
Show the photo.
Oh,
But
yeah.
at 14,
Oh,
remember, you
Jesus
think you're like
Christ.
so grown up. As adults, we look back and we're like, oh my God. But at 14, when you're a 14-year-old, be like, yeah, I'm awesome. I'm a teenager. I'm so old. Don't tell me what to do, mom and dad. But like, you're literally a child.
At 14, I still thought weed was scary. Like,
I'm trying to remember. I'm like,
well,
I
but
also
see,
was
here's
so
the thing.
desensitized because
But-
I was on varsity dance team,
Um,
and the dance team girls were naughty. I love them, but I also was just like tagging along, witnessing, tagging along, like, okay, maybe I won't try that. Okay, maybe no, but I watched them do a lot of things or heard about them doing things. I was like,
I was gonna say the same thing about doing theater in high school because I was in the shows that were 7th grade through 12th graders, and I was
Mhm.
one of the only 7th
Right.
graders, and
Oh,
so I would
yeah.
go to these cast sleepovers, and they would play Never Have I Ever, and they'd be like, Never have I ever like sucked an ass, and I was like, Never have I ever mooned somebody on a school bus. Like I was like,
wait, you've never mooned anybody? Come on,
I've
in the
never
Midwest,
mooned
we're doing
anybody.
that by. Oh, really?
I
Oh,
never mooned.
maybe because in New York you'd get arrested, but in Michigan we'd be mooning each other all the time.
but it was like, never have I ever like snorted ecstasy off of my like friend's
But cheek.
butt cheek. Like
Oh
it was
my
like,
God.
and I was just sitting there like, they would get to me and everybody would be like, it's okay, just do one. And I'd be like, never have I ever like owned a goldfish.
Mine forever was never have I ever been on a plane because I hadn't been, but that's all I
Wow.
had.
That's a good one though.
Thanks. I got
Also,
on a plane.
Never have I ever is such a silly game too when you're in high school because it's like you are just trying to find a way to boast about
The
how
thing
cool
that-
you
yeah.
are, and it's like
Or being nosy. You want to know what everybody
Yeah.
else did.
that's true. You want to know who's kissing who. The best one was never have I ever kissed somebody in this room. Because then you
Whoa.
can just like, and it's always funny when 3 people clap, because then you're like, oh, so either you both kiss the same person, versus like if 4 people clap, you're like, all right, any number of combinations could have happened. But 3, you're like, this is drama, this is tea. Anyway, there was always a pressure. It was like, if you were the young person, it was like, you're like the prude. But then if you were the young person and you were like the one kid in your grade who like had boobs and shit and was having sex, then you're the slut. Crazy.
Why'd you whisper slut?
Slut. No, I was just saying it like
Prude. Slut.
I was prude. Different intonation.
Well, so is slutty behavior? What is slutty behavior, and is being a slut good or being a slut
It's slutty
bad?
to have big boobs when you're 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's not
I
your
think-
choice. It doesn't
Guilty.
matter. Yeah.
it is.
You're just a
It's
slut.
undoubtedly. Yeah. Me too.
Makes sense.
Wasn't me.
Other things that I define as slutty, like what else? It's a good
What-
question.
At camp, it was
Well-
like if you talked to multiple boys, you were a slut.
Yeah,
Totally, which still
if you
stands even.
You were like 12 and you had multiple friends who were boys, slut.
Totally.
if you don't
Yeah.
sleep
One of the guys
with the
slut.
football guys,
Slut.
slut.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
yeah,
sleep
yeah.
with the football guys, immediate slut.
It's funny.
Slut.
It's one of those words. It's like shalom. Like it can mean so many different things.
So
Mhm.
true.
Or it's like aloha, like the context defines it. Like slut can
Yes.
mean that you like are sexually promiscuous. It can also mean that you're a tease. It can also mean that like you're not putting out or you are putting, like it really is just like a tapas plate of definitions. You
Yeah.
like pick and choose.
Yeah. Actually, Evan, I feel like as the white man in residence, you would be
Yeah.
more
What,
Yeah, maybe
what-
you're
to
more
describe
versed
what
on
a
the
slut
topic.
is. I feel like
It's not,
that
a
is
word, it's not a word that actually like I don't.
I
It's
don't
not
say
a word
it.
that not in my world. Just I don't hear it. I
You've
don't
never
see
like
it. It
called
doesn't-
anyone. You never just looked them dead in the eyes. Ever?
I don't believe you. When you were a kid, you never used the word slut.
I don't think so. I mean, if you have that picture of me as a bar
Wait,
mitzvah
somebody
boy,
pull
I
up
was
the
not.
bar
I was
mitzvah
just
picture.
not who I was. Like I was not calling. people
Yeah,
names.
you were getting some when you were 14. So you were.
right because I was
'Cause
charming.
you
as
were the
fuck.
nice guy.
Right, exactly.
I was a great guy. Okay.
I was the angel.
Nice
I was
guys
the
come
angel. Yeah,
first.
yeah.
Was the person that you slept with when you were 14, were they also 14?
Yes.
Okay.
That's good. Because if she
That's
was
better.
13.
In Michigan, that would be statutory rape, and
Yes.
someone's parents
I believe
would.
it's statutory rape wherever that happens, but I could
If
be
you're
wrong.
both
really? No, it's a
underage?
state
Yes.
law. It's a
But
state.
how
it
do
goes
you
state
try-
by state.
How do you
But
try
I
that?
think in almost every state in the that's not true. There are many states that
So-
are allowed to get married at 13.
Yeah.
But
How
but
can
I
you try
still
that,
think
though?
unmarried sex at
Can't-
14 is statutory
So,
rape. Even
this
if both
kid-
parties are
I'm sorry, this child, this
Was
little-
getting
actual
laid.
about a year later.
Child
Was getting laid.
ew, put it
No,
away.
about a year later.
Put it away.
There's a
Put it
glimmer
away.
in his eye.
Wait, but so how do you try that then? Because if both parties
So-
are underage, then didn't you just statutory rape each other?
Yes. So
Yes.
it's actually a big mess.
But I was the
Jamie.
boy. But in most states, it's usually
It's the
man that
boy,
is the
yeah.
only convictable.
And
person.
generally, it's the girl's
That's not
parents
good.
that
That's not
press the
good.
And
charges.
I'm pretty sure in
it's a
New
mess.
Jersey at that time it was probably illegal. Yes.
That's
yeah.
not
In
good.
Michigan, the legal age of consent
You're a
is
felon.
16. So if your boyfriend, girlfriend, freshman in high
Glad he
school,
found it.
15-year-olds, like you can both go to jail or one of you can go to jail if you have sex with each other.
That was
That's
and
stupid.
and that was
think it's a
discussed a
terrible
lot
law,
in
but-
my circles, and that was
Ours
an
too.
earlier time. That was an earlier time. People were having earlier sex back then.
I mean, I'm
Why is
how
that?
much younger than you, and this is a conversation we had all the time. That like
there was less to do, Sarah.
you
But you lived in
can't.
They
Michigan. But
didn't
you lived
have-
in Michigan.
I lived in
They didn't-
Michigan, so
they
we're all
didn't-
behind.
No, they didn't. They didn't have the internet back then. They couldn't be
But not only
entertained.
did you guys wait to have sex later, but did the generation Z, the generation younger than you, or the younger people in your generation are having far less sex than any people.
Really?
It's
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're all
Yeah.
depressed. They have no sex drive.
and alone,
And
right? And
you-
in their room
Roe
alone
v.
with their
Wade,
Instagrams.
And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like
Everybody else is
having
terrifying.
sex
We're
and
being
they're not.
persecuted.
It's the
People need
Lexapro.
to
Right. That's actually
connect.
good. Yeah. It's the Lexapro.
The Lexapro, their sex drives are.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been
And
talking
the,
for
fear, and the
RIP.
fear. And the
we,
fear.
we got to move on because we're
We
40
have so
minutes
much to say on this topic.
Oh my gosh.
Why don't we take a look at an example of a slut shaming / prude shaming joke that we don't think is successful? Jim Jeffries, everyone. Drunk.
Every single time a man sleeps with a lot of women, he's called a stud. But if a woman sleeps with a lot of men, she's called a slut. And people think this is unfair. Nah. It's completely fair. And I'll tell you why, right? Because it's fucking easy to be a slut. It's fucking hard to be a stud. I have met slutty dwarfs. I've never met a stud dwarf.
Drinks beer.
I love sluts. I need them in my life, sluts. They're the best. I want what everyone wants in this world, right? I want to fall in love. I want to get married. I want to have kids. That I can't go back to nice girls. Because nice girls are shit in bed. Now, I know what, there's a lot of nice girls in the room right now. They're going, you don't know me. I'm dirty. No, you're fucking not. You're shit in bed. But it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's that everything has worked out for you in your life. Now, I know what you're thinking, you're dirty. Let me see if I got you right here. All the girls who think they're dirty, but they're nice girls, and I can see you out there. You think you're dirty because you deep-throat a cock because you saw someone doing it in a porn once, and you think, oh, my boyfriend will dig that. You take it up the ass 4 times a year. Am I correct? When a slut's got a cock in her ass, she's thinking, you know it'd be good? 2 cocks in my ass.
Just a lot of different parts to that.
It's like a bit vile.
Brutal.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know why the joke was. That's the first red flag. What was the joke? What was the funny bits?
Yeah. Well,
Anyone?
so he starts, we determined the first 30 seconds of it where
Kinda
he's like
funny.
slut versus stud almost works because you're like, okay, he's just talking about like the double standards, right? That's true. That's a real thing. And
It
then
felt to me like he was getting horny. Like that's how it
Yeah,
felt to
that's
me.
why I felt so
like he was-
Actually, I actually felt it was actually more violent than that. I felt like I was watching a crime take place. He was angry at something.
it felt like
someone
he
in
was
particular.
gonna hurt a woman later.
I
did.
enjoyed the constant drinking of beer too. That
Right.
really,
Well, I mean,
Sips.
maybe it would have been less
Sips.
threatening.
yeah.
than
Being drunk
without the
doesn't.
alcohol.
It
Also-
just shows your truth. So
Right. Yeah. He's like, I love sluts, but I could never marry one because they're mental. And then
Also-
people were like, hee hee ha ha, hee hee.
Well, any sexual deviancy whatsoever from missionary position is deviant.
apparently to him.
Apparently.
and good to him in a bad way, but evil and not marryable.
And also in
and
order
not-
to
and
like
not
sex.
normal, crazy.
Right.
Can't have a relationship with them. What the
Right.
fuck?
And also, in
Yeah.
order to like sex and do it well, you have to be somebody who's had bad things happen to you, was his
Yeah,
other point.
yes.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, you think you're naughty? No, sorry. You're like too much of a nice girl. Your dad loves you. You have to have horrible things happen to you and hate yourself and everything. And then you can take it in the ass.
Which
And you
also,
can-
right. Which also shows how he's thinking of sex, right? This is a demeaning practice where he's a
Totally.
stud, powerful, above the woman. Like,
But
he's
in order
not
to be
about-
a slut.
right. you
And
have
love
to
and
wanna be
relationships.
mean.
You can't have good sex with someone that you love.
Or want to
Yes.
marry. Yeah.
Anyone
You
that's
can't-
I
married
think
to
I'm
a
gonna
Can't
throw
have it.
up.
Can't
I need a
happen.
beer. God damn.
That's
Someone
his
try
whole
me a
point.
beer.
drown
It
us
honestly
away.
is just pretty sad. It's
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
he
It
must
did feel
have-
sad. It felt like kind of he was like insane rambling, drinking his beer, like
That's really
Getting
what
hard.
this was.
What?
was
Who
disgusting.
hurt him and touched him where when
Clearly
he was a
his
child?
mom.
He hates women,
Christ.
so
He hates women.
I actually think Jim
Yikes.
Jeffries, his stuff on guns is some of the best stuff I've ever seen.
right.
He's a really funny comedian, a really, really, really good funny comedian.
maybe he was
but
just
boy,
having
oh
a
boy.
real bad day.
Maybe he was just blackout
Really
drunk
bad.
at this show.
Yeah, it could have been.
And
But
it
even
triggered
then,
something
he-
in him.
It was
and he-
pretty orderly and well constructed.
It
was
felt like he
coherent.
definitely wrote it at some point.
It was written down.
It was
somewhere,
written
yeah.
down. These words were on a page.
And
I feel like the
memorized.
first
And
bit
he
was
was
memorized.
definitely
scrolling them out with anger, ripping the
Yes.
pages with his pen.
Well, he kind of devolves at the end,
In
right? Like the
feces.
beginning, I feel like there was structure.
Feces
And
and
he's just
blood.
ranting.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Okay,
know.
so-
I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of structure there. So let's move on.
Tip number 1:
What,
do
but what
not
was wrong with
ramble.
it? What was wrong with it?
What was
really? Let's
really
break
wrong
it
with
down.
it? Yeah.
Let's break it down.
I think we can move on. All right, here's an ad for the ages. And I hope you enjoy. To all our sluts and prudes out there, be who you are. Having a tight pussy is so 2000 and late. What are you, an American Girl doll? These days, you want to show people you fuck. You fuck a lot. From the makers of the Yoni Egg, Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop bring you the Yoni Egg.
Ostrich edition.
Roughly the size of 2 fists or 1.5 baby heads, our
Ostrich egg.
is guaranteed to stretch you out. No refunds though. This 3-pound sphere of pure muscular destruction is just large enough to help you keep up with today's modern feats of technology. We offer a variety of crystalline models: jade, amethyst, rose quartz, and real egg with yolk. Simply place your order by texting "I want a horsecock" to 1-800-MONSTER-HOLE. Order now and you'll also get a 12-inch glass dildo for no extra charge. Obviously it's good to be malleable, you idiots.
No returns or refunds. Yoni Egg Ostrich Edition is not responsible for any damages caused by using our product, including early birth, chronic orgasm, tummy aches, flashes of white light in your left eye, flashes of white light in your right eye, no flashes of light at all, open pussy syndrome, distaste for cilantro, California-style divorce, a constant humming feeling of paranoia, and migraines. Gwyneth Paltrow will not forfeit her Oscar if any of these symptoms occur.
Okay, moving on. Let's see maybe a more complimentary clip about sluts and prudes.
Like, guys get a bad rap for being hunks of shit. Like, men don't. All men want is to get their dicks touched. All they. You're right. We are. We're perverts. We're perverts. We're disgusting. But it's not our fault. Stop blaming us. We're raised fucked up. Girls, how are you raised on sex and relationships? Through Barbie doll and Ken, and a prince fights a dragon to get at your pussy. Or a vampire with diamond skin wants to fuck you, but doesn't because he'll kill you, so he waits 3 movies, then he fucks you, but you have a baby. And the werewolf wants to fuck the baby, but they don't do that because that's weird. You know, we learn about sex, a video we find under a creepy uncle's bed. It's your job to make us better. You're making him a better person by being with him. But when you first met him, he was a hunk of shit. The only reason you're here, is because you were a slut for a couple minutes. Right? Think back. A couple weeks in, and he took his dick. All right. Yeah, you gave up your dignity for 8 minutes. Now look at what you got. You got a blonde towhead because you were a little Brazilian slut for 8 minutes of your life. You sucked a nut, and now look it. You have happiness. My wife is the most beautiful person I know. My wife sucked my dick on a rock for an ice cream on our first date. No, I married a whore. And not even like good ice cream, yogurt, not even like, and that slut whore is the love of my life. But if she wasn't a pig for a minute on a rock, I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a house. We wouldn't have a kid because she was a whore. She's got a house and a kid.
Oh my God.
It's edgy, but it works for me, that one, you know?
It works because he's not using slut or whore derogatorily.
Mm-hmm.
It's with
more
love and
affectionately.
affection.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he married the slut and the whore, in contrast to Jim Jeffries.
He's like, I would never do
He would
that.
Never.
Yes.
It's not about them. It's about them wanting to do sexual acts. It's not about them
Yeah.
But it's funny because in this one he says like give up your dignity, like all these kind of buzzwords, but for some reason in the writing, in the like arc of it all, I didn't find it at all
It's
like
because
offensive or rude.
Yeah. The gross
humanizing.
one is the man. Right.
Yeah.
Like the gross one is not the woman enjoying the sexual acts. It's like men are disgusting and we're so attracted to sex. Here we go. Like women have to like stoop to our level for 2 seconds for us to end up with them.
Yeah.
Because we're so low. You have to lift us out of the hole.
I also think
The whole-
him being able to tell that joke after being with the same woman who he had sex with early on and is now married to gives context to it that just makes it funnier. It's like couples understand their own sex lives better than everybody else does, and then the definition of slut and whore and all that stuff kind of all goes out the window. It's just your sex life.
I do think, though, there's still something missing. Like, I do love this joke. I think Robert Kelly did a really good job. I think there's still something missing that I hope that we can kind of get in our joke, that you can just be a woman and like sex. Like,
Right.
like I still think the context of this joke is like being like, all right, like, yeah, men are gross and like you have to stoop to our level so that we find you attractive so that we can like fall in love and have a healthy, good relationship. But what if there's just a world in which, you know,
Women
sluts could just like sex and like, that could just be their life. It couldn't be a means to an end for whether it's marriage, men, whatever, like,
right,
you know. Something to think about. I don't know.
To mull over.
I think that the parts where, and you look at all the bad examples that we didn't show, is that there's just a misunderstanding of sex.
Yeah,
culturally,
and America is, I mean, I think it's probably our favorite pastime. America
is a prude,
founded on a prudish sect,
Puritans,
and has been. Yeah, and when you look at the rules around what you can show in movies and TV in America and in Europe, they're the exact opposite. Here, it's all violence, no sex. There, it's all sex, no violence.
Right.
Well,
we do it behind closed doors.
We have a very violent relationship to sex.
Yes.
I think if we can make a joke about great sex that shows, I don't know, it's like there's bad.
There's
sex
nothing funny about good sex, though.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, but there should be, I guess.
Yeah, there are funny things about good sex.
Or you should be able to laugh. You should be able to laugh while you're having sex.
Yeah,
like their sexual health, a big part of what we get sexual health wrong is about abstinence or just pure safety, but never about how to have good sex. I think if we taught people how to have good sex,
how do you do that without being
bad
creepy,
things,
though?
while we're teaching them all about the bad things
creepy.
and healthy things about sex, we would have less true sexual deviants who misunderstand sex and violence and the relationships and love and all these things. And we'd have fewer rapists. We've had fewer sexually dysfunctional people. I
concur. And I think
humor could do that.
I think so too. And this is the thing, Jamie, we're so brainwashed to only talking about bad sex and like all the things you shouldn't do and all the violence and all of the policing women's bodies that like, I can totally see a world where we could discuss good sex, but your first impulse is like, how could you do that without it being weird? I'm like, that's what normal people would do. Like, we're just so
just talking about like
so violent around it here that it's like, I feel like we should do the opposite, Evan. You're so right. And I feel like Yale, the kinky place of the world with naked parties, we talked about this all the time because sex should be fun and exciting and it should be mutually beneficial and like there should be no hierarchy between partners. Like it should just be an enjoyable.
You sound like an amazing partner, Elayna.
We also put a lot of fear around sex. Like, all of our sex education is about like, being dirty and like getting diseases and like the fear of getting pregnant, the fear of like sexual deviancy, like all that stuff. And if we took the fear out of it too, then it wouldn't be as like hush hush and people.
Where's the banter? Where's the fun? Where's the?
Let me tell you, I am a reformed
kink. The word kink, is a 4-letter word. Like if you say you have a kink, people are like, ooh.
It's very heavy
this
as
is
well.
my kink.
Or like I enjoy this and
shout out if the app Field wants to sponsor us for this episode.
I love
there we go.
You know what that is. What is that?
Field is a dating app where you specifically can like enter information about your kinks and then like match people based on their kinks.
It's just like a fun thing to scroll through.
That's not only did that not exist when I grew up, and there were out people when I was growing
the internet
up, but
didn't
very
exist
very
when
very
you
few.
were growing up,
The
so.
internet didn't exist.
The internet's done me dirty.
But like if you had any sexual deviation at all when I was a young kid or even your age, really, it was really bad, and it's getting a little bit better, but still to this day we and it's getting, the culture wars are making it worse. Anyway,
in Michigan, in my neighborhood, I live with a lot of evangelicals. Okay, so like you will have sex and you will die. That's what's gonna happen. And repent. But they're swingers, guys. They're fucking swingers, which I find so interesting. I'm like, okay, so you got married and you'd had no practice before marriage. Okay. No enjoyable practice before marriage. And then you're bored with your sex life in marriage because you do the same 2 positions and you're both awkward. So you're just going to wife swap. You're just going to trade.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not
condemn
against
everybody
swingers.
else.
I'm just against the hypocrisy.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was
And
getting
that's
at, guys,
always
let's
how
be
it
real.
works with people that are particularly
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about
is,
this, like-
is wife swapping weird?
Stop.
Never
no,
happened.
I didn't mean to
Jill,
emphasize
I
that
know-
part.
I
I meant to
didn't-
emphasize.
She's gonna listen to this. She's gonna kill you.
That was a joke just for Jamie.
Listen, I'm all
she
for
inflicted
making
this episode on me.
I'm all
so-
for making oh you should hear the comments that I get from my grandparents about posting dildo videos on the internet. That did not go over well.
You should hear the comments I get from your grandparents for you posting dildos on the internet. And strangers, by the way.
Strangers.
Oh, is this your daughter?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And you were scared for this episode. That's the weird.
Yeah. Wait, new proposal for sex education. Everyone gets a dildo. Everyone gets a butt plug. We talk about pleasure.
Pleasure centers.
I think we should pitch it to the US government. You know, that's
Yeah,
what we should start
I
doing.
think so.
Partner, Elayna.
I think so. Sarah, is this when you come out of the
At
closet?
14 at your bat mitzvah?
Maybe 16. Maybe we should.
Okay.
Maybe we
I
should.
like bat mitzvah present.
Quinceañera?
Yeah. At the
Okay,
quinces,
sweet
yeah.
16. You
Sweet
get
16. You
dildos,
get
yeah.
your butt plug and your dildo and have at it.
I like that. I like that
For
idea.
boys and girls.
For
Yes.
everybody. For everybody.
Yes.
Everybody alike.
Familiarize yourself.
All right. I feel like we should write a joke. This is about sexual freedom, you know, freeing ourselves from the chains of
I
society.
think so.
About what you know what,
I think
and also
a joke
if you
about
do-
good
if
sex
you don't
would be
want to have
very funny.
sex, that's fine too. Like we shouldn't be shaming people for not having
Also
sex.
good sex. If you don't want sex and you don't want to
Should
have
we
sex,
not?
that is also good sex.
Yes.
There you go.
True story.
All right.
Change of
Bye,
venue.
Dad.
Bye.
See you later. Okay, so I've been really stewing over this because I'm like, oh my gosh, how are we going to write something that's going to be funny for Evan to say?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my gravy. And I did
My
have, oh my Lanta. I did think about masturbation quite a bit this week. But I was thinking for Evan, how funny would it be to talk about like the appropriate level of masturbating before and after marriage? Now, although it's been 30 years, so maybe they're like mutually masturbating at this
I think
point,
something
you know?
about a joke about like
So funny how this is your dad, Jamie.
I
I
know.
could never, with my Austrian heritage father,
my dad would be
the bald head, I could
losing
never.
it. My dad has a bald head too.
He does.
We both have bald dads.
Crazy that
Well-
we're getting on today, Elayna.
should I go? Like
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah,
I'm kidding. I
Hey,
want you
is-
to. I want you to.
Oh,
okay.
thanks.
So
So I think
get
there is a
writing.
joke to be had here about like what it means to be a slut versus prude after 30 years of marriage, maybe.
like how
Can we-
intense does it like
Well, this is the thing.
Go.
After 30 years,
the bar,
I mean,
right?
maybe I'm projecting, but after 30 years, we would be doing all kinds of stuff.
Or maybe it's like
kinds
so
of stuff.
slutty
But
that it
how
then
do you
becomes,
keep
like,
the spark
anti-slutty.
alive?
Like I like when does it kind of like reach full circle? Does that make sense? It's
Right. Like I'll blow you if you take out the
you
trash.
push it the
like,
whole way because you get so comfortable and then like you kind of come right back around some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear
Not
what
very
you're saying.
funny though necessarily.
Well, also like they don't have any kids in their house anymore. So I bet you that was like the point of demarcation. Once their kids were gone, they tapped into the sluttiness
It's probably
again.
pressure though too.
'Cause
It's like
I
'cause
don't
then you're kind
know.
of pressured maybe to like turn it on. It's like this is a new era. Like the kids are out, so it's like maybe they were
You
trying.
got less stress. You don't have to be quiet anymore. The house to yourself. You
could've
know?
tried scuba.
Have either of you guys heard or walked in on your parents having sex?
I actually have a really traumatic story about this.
No.
It's not that bad at all. I didn't walk in. I've never ever discussed this with my parents.
Oh my
But one time
gosh.
I was at my friend Phoebe's house
Mhm.
and I called my mum to pick me up and she picked up the phone and she sounded super weird. And I was like, she sounds really weird. She was like out of breath and like being weird. And I was like, okay. And when my dad picked me up, he had the audacity to say, "You interrupted me and mummy in a special cuddle."
Wait, how old were you?
That's
How old
so
were you?
funny.
And also, part of me is like, did I make this up? Like, did I project
No.
this? Is this fake? Because I'm gaslighting myself because I'm like, surely not. But to my memory, that happened.
How old
That
were
is
you?
So funny.
13, 12.
Amazing.
Could have been a dream.
See, my parents
Nightmare.
are very, very bashful. Like I'm the one that my brother and I talk about sex a lot more than my parents, and they've gotten a little bit better. But I have a 15-year-old brother. Like I know my parents very much enjoy their sex life and love each other very much. Like he's like a decade younger than me. But like they don't really talk about it. I've definitely heard them before.
Yeah.
There was a time my brother, this was when I was at college, one of my brothers like knocked on the door and was like, "Are you done yet?" Which was like mortifying for everyone involved.
Honestly, kind of king move of him though.
I was like, "It's time for you to move out, bro. Like, get the fuck out.
very
That's their
comfortable.
house. How rude."
So funny.
He was
I
like,
have
they were
never-
going on forever and it was so loud. And I'm like, and my parents were so embarrassed. My
That's
parents
never
were
happened.
mortified.
That is
You know what?
mortifying.
I hope my parents have a healthy sex life, but I don't want to know about it. You know, like I don't
That's
need
how
to hear
I feel.
it.
Oh.
I wish them the absolute best.
I don't want to
See,
walk
my
in. I wish them the
grandparents
best.
are really, I mean, I only have 2 grandparents now,
I'm
but
writing.
like they were always so very oversharing, vocal. Most of my family is like very not embarrassed at all of their sex lives and like talk about it all the time, including my Nana. Rest in peace. But yeah.
She had fun by the sounds of it. It's good.
Yeah, she did. And I remember telling her, I was like, I want a purity ring. I want to wait till marriage. And she's like, "You're a Garner girl. You're not going to make it." And I was like, "Nana, I'm trying to be like Jesus."
And Paul said, "I was having sex at my parents' house, door wide open, thinking we were alone. Things weren't quiet. 20 minutes later, I checked my phone and my dad texted me, 'I'm home,' you know." That's what I meant. I don't kind of hot too though, actually.
I think it's way worse having your parents catch you having sex than it is catching them.
That would be horrendous. That'd be my worst
Awful.
nightmare. I've never had sex in my family
Awful.
home. I've never had anything like that. I wouldn't. I'm too scared.
I've only had sex 3 times in my family home, one of which was the first time I ever had sex. And other than that, I can't, like, the thought of it.
Yeah. This is the thing. You want to be relaxed. I'm too much of a worrier.
I'm
like,
so worrisome.
I wouldn't be able to calm down enough to like perform the act.
No, I would be like,
I just think I'd get in trouble.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm a child. Like, I would get in trouble. They would tell me off, you know?
See, I always thought that. And then my
dare
my
you
younger
have sex
brother,
under our
I
roof?
think she maybe would. My parents.
Oh my God.
They wouldn't tell me
Yeah.
off, but I think it would be bad.
I've had sex in a lot of other people's homes, I will say. Just never in
Like, wow.
in other people's beds.
like, well, my ex and I would have sex all the time while our parents were home, but they were on different floors. It's different in a house. An apartment is too intimate. You're too close.
I don't think
The
I
walls
ever
are not thick enough.
had sex at my partner's house when they're parents. I had sex at a lot of cottages. Like people
Cottages?
Well, we call it
That's your
like a little
so
copula.
in Michigan, Michigan, we don't say like
That's the new
summer
cottage
homes.
core.
The
Yeah,
new cottage core.
Cottage
We call them
whore.
cottages. Like you
Cottage
go,
core
it's
cottage
like a summer
whore.
house.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, I had sex in a lot of people's like on the lake, by the river. No
Oh, you
grown-ups
just
were
love
there.
bodies of water.
That's hot.
Yeah,
Just
water really does it.
at
for
the-
me.
getting cheeky at the creek.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, anyway,
Should we write
moving
this
on.
joke?
Yes, let's do it.
I can't write this about my mother.
After 30 years of marriage, Jamie, I think being a slut means you're fucking on the couch.
I don't know. I don't know if that's
Spontaneous.
I don't know if that's their thing, but I don't know. I think somebody else has to write this
Okay.
joke.
We need to take a dildo field trip,
Yeah.
buy some new toys. That would be so fun.
We should do cancel culture field trip to a sex store. I think
I think
full
this is a
circle.
great
Okay.
joke.
Great joke. Good
I'm
job.
very, very happy
High
with it.
fives.
I like it.
We did it. Okay. I even added some dirty stuff in there.
I think it's
Proud of
very
I
good.
think it's great. Good job, guys. You just needed a minute to loosen up.
Yeah,
Have Evan read the first one.
I'm happy with this.
It looks great. I like it a lot.
Okay. Shall we call him back?
Let's see what he says.
We should really have HR on this podcast.
I am HR, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be great after this episode.
Well, so you lost your virginity across the apartment there. Yeah. Right.
Oh no,
I'm
Evan,
just talking about how I don't like the word virginity. I think it's gross.
You lost your purity.
worse. You had sex for the first
You
time.
broke your
How about that?
hymen.
Ew.
Well, actually, she could have broken her hymen like riding a bike.
Man,
No, I
yeah.
did. I
She
definitely
doesn't. She never rode a
riding a
bike.
She
Anyways,
would've.
So you know I didn't hear that because we were asleep, right? Do you think that didn't happen in reverse? You know,
We
How
were
long did
just
you live
talking
here?
about this.
How long did you live here? That's what I was thinking about earlier. Is like, did you think we didn't have sex the 18 years or?
I
plus that you
obviously
lived
knew
here?
you must have, but I
So you
never
didn't hear
heard it.
It
so
is
that
an
was-
This is
interesting
an
thing as a
important
child.
conversation.
This
You
is an
never
impo-
heard it, right?
I had never heard it.
All right.
or-
I will. I'm gonna win a big bet on that. So
That's
much.
so funny. Against Jill, you made a bet with Jill.
A lifelong bet that they could hear.
Oh, it's gonna be me.
my
That would
God.
be
Jill's
me.
gonna-
How
my
long did
mother
I have to
bond
be quiet during sex
less with
because
me.
you might hear?
Yeah, Evan
and
said,
turns
I was
out
trying
you
to be
couldn't hear
loud.
anything.
Oh my god, I just thought of maybe a funny joke, like when the kids leave, like the awkwardness of like having to start making noise again and like the noises that come out.
Yes.
I think that could
That's
be quite
that's
good.
just
Write
real,
it
man.
right now,
It's like,
Sarah.
oh,
We'll
I
keep
can make
vamping.
noise.
Yeah, right.
Although in New York, I will say that joke will not work as well because you got neighbors right here. So there's also that.
Right. Well, there's just a
But-
common understanding between neighbors that you
Neighbors,
just
yeah.
very respectfully
No, there
pretend
isn't.
you're not.
No, there isn't.
Do they
I've
bang on the
heard
wall?
there used to be a couple that lived there that did not understand we could hear them. And
Oh.
I didn't have the heart to tell them that, yeah,
Sounded like they were having such a
it
good
was
time.
congratulations, one.
Loud
That's
sex
so funny.
doesn't equate
But
to good
maybe
sex.
start an hour earlier if you could.
Yeah.
'Cause
How many
Oh,
hours?
guys, maybe-
Jesus.
I know.
Forget
I'm
it.
like, maybe I'm too much of a voyeur, y'all. I'd be like, hey, get it
Well,
on.
when Sarah's old apartment, we used to have parties on her rooftop, and it looked up into like this fancy hotel, and we would see
Ooh.
people having sex
I
against
got
the
to
windows
watch
in
so
the
windows.
hotel.
much sex. There
was
was
a
once a
ti-
serial masturbator that was at the hotel opposite me when I was sunbathing and he wouldn't stop. And then Lizzie Gadsby wrote a sign that said, "Stop
define
touching your
cereal.
dick." Like it
Yeah,
lasted
define
days. He
cereal.
was staying in the hotel for like 5 days, 3 days in a row. He was just like,
But
he
like
Maybe-
6 times a day, 5 times a day. How
Yeah,
many?
what's-
what makes
anytime
it
I looked,
cereal?
anytime I looked, he was standing, looking out, looking around
What
like
was he
this.
Did he ever
looking at?
finish?
And then he'd
Did he
see
ever
me.
finish?
No, I didn't see that.
Aw, Maybe,
maybe
that's
it
why.
wasn't
wasn't
just
enough of a
one
show
He
for
was
him.
so frustrated.
prolonged.
Yeah, one.
You know what?
That's
It's because he gave
sad.
up his
He's
penis
got
pump.
stamina.
It's because
got-
he gave up his penis pump and is trying to get
The
back
one
to,
time,
you know,
the one time we
the
were
raw.
having a party up there, and the entire party stopped, and everyone on the roof just started watching this one couple of sex in the window. I was like, I wonder if they are into
Hmm.
this. Like, I wonder if they're seeing this
exhibitionism.
rooftop of
Oh,
people
absolutely,
staring
absolutely.
at
Yeah, wait, Paul says I feel like we're gonna need Jill to sign something to allow this to release.
Right,
Yeah,
well, that's the
really.
other thing. I'm also, you were in the writer's room. I was with Jill, so Jamie's mom. And so I can't help but think of her as I read these, which should, I think, be flattering for her. Okay.
Aw.
She doesn't even like me posting pictures of her on Instagram. This is gonna
Yeah, we
be
should definitely not put her name in this episode. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, every time we say it,
bleep
Jesse, just
Jill's
Bleep
name
out. Yeah, the one thing we'll
Bleep
bleep out. That's our kink. Okay. I got very used to having sex with the kids in the house.
Oh
Being
wait,
quiet. No, that's right.
sorry. I got it. Just does that sound like maybe say with my wife? Because I got very used to having sex with kids in the house.
Yeah, yeah,
Crazy.
I got very comfortable
Grammar.
having sex with kids in the house.
No.
This is why we edit. It's okay.
Start over.
I have 2 daughters. I've been married 30 years. Over the course of those 30 years, I got very used to, at first, having sex with my kids sleeping in the house,
There you go.
being quiet, fucking on mute, pausing mid-thrust for the occasional child getting water in the kitchen. It's interesting what happens when they leave and you get to start making noise again. I had to relearn how to be a slut, how to be a loud slut, like a deer standing up for the first time, wobbly. A puppy testing its bark. That shit coming out of my mouth. Off pitch. Totally all wrong. You mean to grunt, but a squeaky little moan comes out. I want to say, I'm going to come. But instead, it's just whale sounds. It's almost a relief when the kids come back, which they do all the fucking time. And then we have to shut the fuck up again.
Good. Yep.
That was fantastic.
That was great.
Yay!
Jamie was gonna lose it.
You should have gone on mute.
I like that.
Again.
I really do.
Okay, great.
I will
Yeah.
say,
So funny.
I was looking at the Google sheet, so I did not have to watch anybody's faces, which was very,
like this.
very, very, very helpful.
Good. No, I loved the emphasis. They come back all the fucking time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be quiet because my grown children are fucking home.
Always here. They're always here. But now we know that it's
They
all
can't
bullshit.
hear anything. Yeah.
They can't hear.
They can't hear.
This is so
That's
funny
news
to me.
in the house.
This is
Jamie,
really
you're gonna have
genius.
to convince your mom. You're gonna have to tell her.
Where
No,
does Roxy
seriously.
go?
She's on the bed. What do you
Yeah.
want?
She just hangs out.
There were two of them at one point, remember?
Yeah. Jamie, where do you think my cat goes? You think I put him out of the house? He goes on
Fine,
vacation?
Elfie died to get away from this. All right. Well, I think that we've talked a lot about being a slut. And I think we had some successful jokes, depending on what you mean by success. And you can
was
write
great.
in.
I think the
and-
only person with sexual hangups on this podcast is
It's
Jamie.
Jamie.
which is weird because it's just because you're here.
Because you fuck.
I fuck. I swear I fuck.
Hoax. It's all a hoax.
Okay.
I'm very sexual liberated, just not
Okay.
around my dad.
Yeah,
That's
my dad's not
healthy.
here. So.
To me, I think
yeah.
I'm
that's
not
good. Let's keep it
sexually
like that.
liberated at all, except on this podcast. So it evens
Aw.
out.
There you go.
Mm.
Turn of the coin.
Generational.
I don't really believe that, but okay.
We're not
is
certain.
It is
No.
absolutely true. All of this awkward comedy gold on our live show, November 9th, which is also our editor Jesse's birthday.
No, the
Uh,
next day is.
Oh, the next day is day
Fact
before
check.
at Asylum in New York. Thank you, New York Comedy Festival.
Okay. You can buy tickets starting September 23rd
That's it. We're done.
on the comedy festival website. That's what Paul wanted me to add. Great. Find us at cancelculture_pod on Instagram and let us know what you think. Do you talk about sex with your parents? Are you a slut? Are you a prude? How do you feel about it? Let us know. Well, until next time, this has been Cancel Culture.
Bye.
Yay.
Cancel.
Culture.
Podcast.